Yo, what is up, guys? It's your girl Bex, and welcome back to the race rundown post traumatic weekend in Canada. And we're not just talking about trauma because of the fact that it is the home of the Strollpedo. So I just want to start this episode off by saying, if you like the channel, you like what I'm doing here, like, subscribe, find me on socials, all that fun stuff. And second off, the second point I want to make is that if you can hear fans in the background, I can only apologise. We're going for a heat wave in the UK right now. And where I record, oh my god, it's warm in here. So you're just going to have to bear with, okay? But on that note, let's get straight into it. So, we had bets in my household of whether or not there would be contact in turn one. It is fair to say that I was disappointed as there was no contact in turn one. However, Max can't risk the penalty points. George got away with it, to be fair. Early pressure from Antonelli on Piastri into the first and second corner. Antonelli manages to slide past Piastri, as he also didn't want to risk it when it came to championship points. Fair enough. Then, normally, as we all know, a little bit of foreshadowing, normally Lando likes to turn his Formula 1 car into a lawnmower. Well, Albon did it first this time, as he goes into the grass on lap 1 and lost 2 places. With lap 6, Russell pulling away from Max, and lap 11, Alonso goes wide to let Lando pass. Let Lando pass, in quotation marks, because I personally believe that he didn't want that fight. His fight was not with them. He needed to save his tyres. Fair enough. So, Max then pits, one of the first to pit, on lap 13, which just so happens to be the same lap that Lewis seemingly gained some damage. Now, I didn't see any collisions between him and anyone else. However, apparently he gained some damage from somewhere and was losing downforce as a result. So that just basically screwed his race up. Then George pits shortly after on lap 13, with Lando in the lead by lap 21 as everybody had pitted, apart from him and Leclerc. So the top two, Lando, Leclerc, hadn't pitted yet. Lando manages to keep his hard tyres. Lando manages to keep his hard tyres from lap 1 all the way through to lap 30 to then pit on mediums. Fair enough. Lots of questions about whether he was going to be able to do the rest of the race on the mediums. He didn't. He ended up stopping again. Antonelli pits after Max, and the battle continues with Max pulling the absolute lap of dreams to still come out ahead of Kimi and keep him at bay. Fair enough. Then, during this sort of process, the back markers have all kind of bunched up. Lewis was like 30 seconds behind the leader at this point, which is just awkward considering it's his ex-teammate. He just wasn't having a good day. To be honest, when are Ferrari having a good day at this point? Don't actually think it's possible for them to have a good day at this point. But anyway, the pack was bunched up around the third of the track, and Oscar ended up losing time as a result because he was stuck in the back markers. Lawson then got a warning for just ignoring the blue flags completely, which I think is quality, to be honest, because he was already dead last. Then, lap 46, Oscar pits and comes out behind Kimi again. Kimi was just on one this weekend. I don't know what they filled his car with, but rocket fuel maybe? I don't know. Stroll being Stroll at his home race then decides to absolutely obliterate Pierre Gasly and got himself a 10-second penalty, I believe, which, I mean, quality that he's dead last at his home race. I mean, it's just awkward, to be honest. Alex then drives into the runoff. He is out. Yet another power unit issue with that damn Mercedes engine. Yet the Mercedes are performing well. Very confusing. Lap 53, Oscar and Lando both 5th and 6th. Starting to heat up a little bit. Oscar gets caught up in all that traffic. Lando then gets within DRS. It's starting to heat up a little bit. Lewis is losing downforce for damage that he obviously gained on lap 13. Lap 66, Lando goes down the inside for a quality move, to be fair, on Piastri. However, Piastri said, nah, fam. Technical term there, nah, fam. And took the place back. Now, I can't use the language that I wrote in my phone because there would be no hope. But I've put Lando then fucks it into the wall. That's the polite version. the 4-letter word beginning with C, gets a 5-second penalty. Now, this is the interesting part. Normally, if you cause a collision, the FIA will give you a 5 to 10-second penalty and penalty points. However, Lando did not receive any, which is a bit controversial because obviously Max did. So I will leave that with you. I've then put afterwards absolute numpty, which is slightly nicer than the verbiage I just used. So I must have calmed down a little bit by then. Max overtaking George, or was George just braking? So this was in reference to the safety car. George appeared to brake erratically, which I don't know if he did or not. Maybe he was just doing a Piastri and trying to slow down the pace, and Max just wasn't paying attention this time and overtook him. I don't know. Anyway, whatever came from that, George ended up winning, which, I mean, I don't hate it, but I'm not George's biggest fan. Then Max in second, and then Kimi Antonelli, the third youngest pole sitter of all time, brings up third position. So we had a Mercedes 1-3. Not bad. Not bad. Max is now within 43 points, I believe, of Piastri. Don't know why that's a statistic that's worth noting, but he's climbing up the leaderboard, I think, is what all the pundits were trying to tell us. He's still a decent way behind, so I'm not too sure about that, but, you know, he's got to start somewhere. So, that's that, really. 4th career win for George. Fantastic. That sort of ends Canada, I guess. You had Stroll being Stroll, strapped up wrist, 10-second penalty. He just didn't care. In the driver's parade, he didn't care. In the interviews, he didn't care. Honestly, it's almost like his dad is forcing him to do this as a punishment at this point. Like, he just doesn't want to be there. You all know my thoughts and feelings on that man. Lewis, I mean, he got unlucky with the damage this weekend, but it's still, the car just hasn't clicked for him yet. Sainz is slowly getting there. Albon's having power unit issues, which makes me think they've dialed up his car too much. There's lots going on at the moment. But in the off-track news world, which, I mean, normally this is the longer segment, because normally we've got a bit of drama by now, we've got some drivers changing maybe by now, but we haven't yet. So I am live right now, whilst talking, checking the fantasy league that I have running, just to see where we're at points wise. I'm terrified because I haven't actually checked this yet. Oh god. Okay, well, that was a traumatic weekend. So, for the Canadian Grand Prix, I gained 74 points. That was it. Absolutely outrageous behaviour. Partly because I forgot to change my team, in fairness. I forgot to make some changes, which I probably should ahead of the Austrian Grand Prix in 11 days' time. So, because there's not a lot of off-track news at the moment, and because there's not a lot going on, this episode is only a short one. However, I will be back next week with a little bit of a cheeky bonus episode. I haven't quite worked out what that's going to be yet, but you will be the first to know. I have also started doing, a bit sporadically, but we're doing them, TikTok lives. So if you guys don't follow me on TikTok, feel free to follow me on TikTok. We're over there chatting all things F1, more unpopular opinions, maybe even some cheeky Lego builds, who knows. So until then, I've been your girl Bex, this has been the Race Rundown, and I'll see you in the next one for the Austrian Grand Prix. Peace!